You've pulled all-nighters, fought through countless formula and mensuration, but nothing works. In this concept, every conversion is a battle, every step is a weapon, and this video will be your best friend. Let's begin the massacre of misconceptions.
As you guys can see, the first question talks about a solid cone of height, whatever, is melted into identical cones. So let's try to have a proper understanding. They're taking a bigger cone and then converting this into n number of smaller cones. Fine. So whatever I wrote here, let me try to write that in terms of an equation there. So can we all agree that a bigger cone will be equal to n into smaller cones? Correct. So this is your most important equation. You're trying to understand what's actually happening here. Once this part is done, realizing the other, applying the data is much more simpler if you know the formula. So this is the most important part. The bigger cone, right? Read the question, understand the story, summarize the story. Fine. So the story part is done. I'll take it off. You need not draw obviously each and every time because it's going to waste a lot of time. Now, let's use the data. I'll write bigger cone. Bigger cone, I'll use different denotation. I'll use caps R, I'll also use caps H. First of all, it's a cone. Volume of a cone given by the formula 1 by 3 pi R square H equals, so the bigger cone equals n into smaller cones. End of the day, big or small, cone formula will remain the same, only the denotation changes. So 1 by 3 pi R square into H. Now let's figure out what else can be done. I'm supposed to find the value of n. How do I know that? Look at the last one. I'm supposed to find the number of cones. So since n is a question mark, I'll cancel off the pi and the pi. 1 by 3 gets cancelled. Let's start substituting. Do we know the value of caps R? Given to me here. The solid cone of radius 6 centimeters. That's good enough for me. So I'll write 6 square. Okay. H is 8 equals n, I'll keep as it is, into R square here. Careful. Diameter is given to me, which means it will be 0.5 into 0.5. H also I know equals 2. Now can you find the answer? Automatically you'll be able to get the answer. So 2 times 1, 2 times 3 goes off. Now what all is remaining? N remains. Left hand side 3 times 6 times 8 remains. Denominator 0.5 into 0.5 remains. There's a small trick to cancel off the 0.5 directly. It's not a trick anymore. It's more like 0.5 is 1 by 2, no? Denominator becomes the numerator. So, in simple language, when you cancel the 0.5 with any number, you will double the number and rate. So, I cancelled 0.5 with 6, of 0.5 with 3, therefore I write 6. There's one more 0.5. So, I'll cancel off this time the 0.5 with, let's say, 6 again. Double the 6 is 12. So, n equals 6 times 12 times 8. I'll use my calci, I'll get the answer. Whatever answer we're getting right now is the number of cones. So it is 576. Obviously you'll write 576 cones. So what is step number 1? Trying to read the question, understand the story, take the story, frame it into a proper equation kind of stuff and then start continuing. Next question. We'll try to read the story this time. Careful. They talk about a sphere. Again, this is the only concept which has been repeated multiple number of times for your board exams. So don't ignore it. A solid sphere of whatever given to me is melted and recast into a whatever. Again, circular cone. I understand the two main things. Calculate the number of cones recast. You know the last line is going to help me so much because they're telling me a sphere is being converted into n number of cones. So this is my summary of the story. Fine. So what now should I know at this point of time? I should know the volume of the sphere. If you guys still haven't watched the video, end of this video, I'll tag the playlist along. So make sure you guys watch the volume of the spheres video, so that you'll be able to understand this concept properly. Got it? Now here, spheres, the value given, the value of the sphere, volume of the sphere given by the formula 4 by 3 pi r cube. I wanted to use caps R here so that there's a proper denotation between both of them. I'll write n as it is into cone's value is 1 by 3 pi r square h. You write as it is. Now let's cancel off whatever can be done. Cancel the pi as well as the pi. Don't cancel the r and r because both the r's are two different values. Correct? So now what happens? Keep the n there itself. What else? Okay, before that I think we'll go one step ahead. We'll try to substitute 4 as it is. The value of r for a sphere is given by 15 centimeters. So I'll write 15 cube equals n into r square here for the cone is 2.5, so you write 2.5 into 2.5 because the square here, h is 8. Now what has to be done? Keep the n there itself, shift everything to one side. 15 times 15 times 15 by 2.5 into 2.5 into 8. 4 times 1, 4 times 2. I'll use my calci, you can't. And that will be your answer. So the value of n will be equal to 270 cones here. Obviously have to do the math, can't help. We move on to the next question. Okay, but they're talking about a hollow sphere of internal and external radius. Okay, this is obviously important because a hollow sphere is involved. Wherever the word hollow is there, you're supposed to keep one thing in mind that there'll be two things being involved. So 4 by 3 pi r cube minus r cube will be the formula. Careful with that. Fine, we'll solve this. But the story goes like this: the hollow sphere of internal and external whatever is cast into cones. So hollow sphere and cones. Got it. Radius, find the number of cones. I'll write it here. Hollow sphere. Just don't write HS because you might get confused for hemisphere. This is hollow sphere. Okay. N into number of cones. Correct. So hollow sphere. What's the formula for sphere? 4 by volume. 4 by 3 pi r cube. It's hollow, which means there are two r's here. So I'll rephrase it. It will be 4 by 3 pi r cube minus r cube equals n into 1 by 3 pi r square h. Correct? Now I know that I obviously know the value for each and everything. Before that, what can be simplified? The 3 gets cancelled, the pi gets cancelled. Now I'll separate the n right now. 4 I'll keep as it is. R's value, what's the bigger value here? 8 or 6? Obviously 8. So it will be 8 cube minus 6 cube, whole thing divided by r square h. R of the cone is 2, so 2 square is 4, h is 8. The 4 and the 4 gets cancelled. Now solve this part. 8 cube minus 6 cube, whatever answer you get, divide that by 8, that will be the number of cones. That's how it works. Calculation part, solve it. Fine. Now we'll talk about this. The surface area, most important concept here, underline this. They're talking about the surface area of a solid sphere. Done. I'll stop there. I'll write the given formula. Surface area of a sphere given by the formula 4 pi r square. Again, I'll tag the video at the end of this video. I'll tag the playlist in fact. 4 pi r square equals 2464. Done. This is given to me. Now I'll read the next question. Next part. It says it is melted and recast into a solid right circular cones. This one is useless for me. Cone. Okay, of whatever. Calculate the r of the sphere, calculate the number of cones recast. Now for r of the sphere, I'll obviously be using that form. But for the number of cones recast, I try to frame a small equation here. So what's being turned into what? Sphere is being cast into cones. Okay, sphere is being cast into cones. That is fine, but I'll talk about the value for r first because don't get confused. Here I am talking about volume. Here I am talking about surface area. Okay, now what gets cancelled? 4 pi r square is there. I'm supposed to find the value of r. So right now, write the value of r as write the value of pi as 22 by 7. So first of all, 4 gets cancelled. 4 times 6 24. 4 times 1 and 4 times 616. So r square equals 616 is there. Now careful. The 22 by 7 on the left hand side goes to the RHS, flips basically, becomes 7 by 22. Cool. Now obviously I think 22 and 616 is possible. 11 times, let's try. 11 times 2, 11 times 5 is 55. 61 minus 55, 6 will be remaining 6 times. Now this obviously will again get cancelled. 2 times 1 is 2 times 2. 28 times 7. 7 times 4 here. So r square equals 7 times 4 into 7. So the answer will be 7 into 2, 14. R will be equal to 14. Now basically I took a square root of this directly. Square root of 7, if there are 7 2 times, I'll write it once. Square root of 4 is 2. 7 times 2 gives you 14. So the value of r equals 14. Obviously without knowing that value, I won't be able to come back to my second sub question. Volume of a sphere given by the formula 4 by 3 pi r cube. Okay, unlike the previous one, it's not a hollow sphere, so it's easier for me. N into cone is 1 by 3 pi r square h. What gets cancelled? The 3 gets cancelled. The pi, okay, r square for pi and the pi gets cancelled. That's it. I'll find out to find the value of n. So n will be equal to 4 into r cube. Value of r is 14. So you write 14 thrice. 14 thrice you write. Now here r square h. What's the value of given to us? R square is here. So 3.5 times 3.5 into h's value is 7. Correct? Do the calculation part. You should be getting the answer as 128 cones. Correct? I mean, my answers are obviously by the calci. You can't use it. Next question. A solid metallic hemisphere. Careful. The story talks about hemisphere melted and recast into a solid cone. I got my storyline. So what do? I write it in terms of a summary. So hemisphere, I'm writing HS right now, is being converted into multiple cones. Multiple meaning n into cones. Every time the cone question, any transformation question, no, it's always volume, always. One of them, see, in the previous case, the reason they specified the word area is because using that only I can find the value of r. Without r, I can't find v. So that's the connection between them. Correct? Now here, hemisphere, I write half first. Volume of the sphere given by 4 by 3 pi r cube. I write it. Only for my denotation, I'll use different r. It's going to help me. And as it is, cone is given by the formula 1 by 3 pi r square h. Okay? Now, what gets cancelled? The 3 gets cancelled, the pi and the pi gets cancelled. I'm supposed to find the value of n. I'll do that. But let's see what else is given to me. I'll keep the 2 and 2 also will get cancelled. Fine. So 2 into r cube is remaining there. 2 as it is. What is r of hemisphere? Careful, r is not given to me. Diameter is being presented. Half of it. So it will be 14. 14, I'll repeat thrice because it says cube. Now, equals n into r square, r of the cone, again diameter is given, 14, 14 by 2 will give me 7, careful, into h is 8 given to me. So now what do I do in the next step? I shift all this to the denominator or cancel directly, easier, no? 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 1, 7 times 2 again, 2 times 1, 2 times 4, 4 gets cancelled with both the 2's. So what is remaining is 14, n will be equal to 14 cones. That's it, correct? Next up, last one in fact. Oh, this is the most important question and it's a very interesting question. Now let's try to read the question a little deeper. Easy question because everybody knows this process. The process of buying an ice cream or trying to make an ice cream. Initially, all that essential requirements is being put into a cylindrical jar or whatever you guys call it as. So a cylinder has to get involved here. Read that. A right circular cylinder. Fine. So obviously we're supposed to use the volume of the cylinder in this case. We'll use it a little later, but let's try to understand here. Oh, the ice cream is gonna fall off in this kind of container anyways. Cylinder. Having a diameter, okay, r equals 12. So what do I do right now is, I'll write the shapes here. I'll try to make a note of all the data given to me. Cylinder's data, r equals 6. Diameter is 12, meaning r equals 6. H equals 15. Okay, it's full of ice cream. Done. The ice cream has to be fitted into an identical cones of, okay guys, first thing here, cone of whatever having a hemispherical shape on top. Lovely question. But don't you think this is exactly what we're trying to see here? Every time you guys watch a cone or try to draw a cone, what do? We draw literally a cone and on top of that we're trying to place a hemisphere kind of thing. Okay, so this here is a hemisphere, this here is a cone. Fine. Only for our sake, we'll call this specific shape here in this question as a solid. Okay? The reason is because I'll try to break this down. Okay? So can I write volume of the solid is equal to volume of the cone plus volume of the hemisphere. Now think, you're taking a scoop of ice cream, you're placing it on the cone, which means the radius of the hemisphere and the radius of the cone will be the same. Keep that in mind. But before that, let me write the formula for this. 1 by 3 pi r square h plus 2 2 by 3 pi r cube. The value of both the r's are same. I just now explained how it works. I'll start taking common. So I'll take 1 by 3 outside, pi outside, r square outside. What remains? H remains plus 2 remains and 1 r remains. Correct? So I'll start substituting 1 by 3 pi. The value of r is given to me as 3. So I'll take 3. 3 square becomes 9 directly. Open bracket. Height's value I think is given to me as 1 second. Height's value is 12. So it becomes 12 plus 2 into 3 is 6. So this answer becomes 1 by 3 as it is, pi as it is, 9, and the 3 gets cancelled. Inside the bracket, 12 plus 6 gives you 18. 18 times 3 is 54 pi. Correct? Now obviously, think. Cylinder was given, so the ice cream, the stuff of the ice cream is in the cylinder. You keep taking many scoops and filling it into these solids. So in simple language, I should be able to phrase it as V of the cylinder is equal to N into V of the solids, not the cones, but the complete solid. You are including the cone and the hemisphere. Okay, so this was given to me. If you know the volume of the cone, finding the volume of the cylinder is very simple because cone has a 1 by 3 extra. Cylinder will not have it. So obviously the formula will be pi r square h will be equal to N into, I won't write the formula right now. I know the answer, 54 pi, I'll copy. Correct? Now, pi and the pi gets cancelled. This value of the r of cylinder and the h has to be checked out here. R is 6, h is 15. 6 and 15. So 6 square into 15 equals n into 54. 6 times 1, 6 times 9, 3 times 3, 3 times 2, 3 times 5. So n will be equal to 10 cones, 10 solids. This is your answer. I'll see you in the next video.